Oh, good. We got on. Hi, Diana Rankin here. And I've just been sitting here watching that little circle go round and round and round. And it looks like once we got on, the internet cleared up a bit for me. So I'm grateful for that. Hello, Juliet. She says, hello, all. Happy New Year and happy Friday. It is Happy New Year and it is Happy Friday. We'll take both, won't we? Today, we're going to talk about the question about disease and illness. And Philip, my spirit guide, is going to give us an answer that might surprise you. We'll also get a message from one of my books. It's the Master's Book of Answers, and it's an oracle book. And so we will just flip through and find the right message for the week. Sometimes I forget this. I get a little nervous, as many of you know, on these videos or when they're live. And so I hold it in my hand so I won't forget it. And I still sometimes forget it. So keep reminding me. Okay, here we go. Here's the question. And I want to thank you for your questions. If you have questions, you can just put them in the comment section below, or you can go directly to my website. And on my website, I think it's under coaching and readings. I'm not sure. But it will give you my email address or my phone number. Just pick up the phone and call me and leave the question if I can't answer you. Or go ahead and email me with the question. All of those work. All right, let's get going here. Here's our question. Why is there disease and illness in our world, especially with children with horrible diseases like cancer? Gaida just came on and she said, Happy New Year to you all from Gaida in Woodridge, Illinois. Thank you, Gaida. Glad to see you. Okay, here's what Philip had to say. So I apologize for my squeaky chair. It's old, but it's comfortable and oiling doesn't help. All right. I know I'm old. You all know that, right? I'm 80. Turned 80 last November, a few months ago. Okay, here we go. You speak of disease as though it's bad for humans. We understand, but release the thought of disease being bad, and you will understand how helpful sickness can be. I want to say before we go on, this may not be the easiest to hear, especially if you have a child who is ill. So I'm going to go on, but hopefully this will give you a little peace. Philip goes on to say, let us begin with the children, which will also give adults some understanding of their illnesses, for much is the same. We remind you that before human birth, you agreed to do your best to fulfill your soul's mission. You chose your mission to 1, correct a past life error, or for the experience itself, or to help heal a condition. For example, let's say a child who is ill with cancer died in a previous life of the disease and carried it into this life, where physical healing is easier than in spirit world, where you have no physical body. The child brings the healing energy from the spirit world into human form and heals the body. Or the child finds this is too difficult and chooses to return to spirit world and wait until humans have produced a cure. Or the child may simply choose to have the experience. Why would they, you ask? Well, there are many reasons. They may have been a parent whose child was stricken in another lifetime, or they may have been or want to be a medical person who wants to be in this field. Humans best understand that which they have experienced physically, mentally, emotionally. So if you experience something physically, mentally, emotionally, we're better prepared to heal others, aren't we? Because we understand it. And then Philip says, they then have the energy of it once we understand it physically, mentally, emotionally. Philip goes on to say, or the soul may be a healer that chooses the experience and cure an illness. This child understands the energy and they are able to manipulate the energy from illness to health. This is not to say they do so without help of medical people. It is also not to say they are even aware of being the healer. It is to say that every healing heals many in addition to the child healer. As the healing energy goes out into the world, it helps to heal others who have the consciousness to hear, to understand how to heal. These reasons for illness in children that we have given also pertain to adults. Let us give you additional information that pertains more to adults than to children. I want to also say that in the soul world, in the spirit world, before we come into human form, we choose our parents and our parents choose us. So it's not an easy thing to go through if your child is ill, but know that it's one of these reasons that the child is choosing from a past life. The two of you may have been together. You may have been the child yourself, and the child, your now child, is your parent. Or the child's a healer. That certainly can be, or simply the child is choosing the experience, knowing that you as the parent are able to deal with it and will be there for them in love. Easy? Nobody promised easy in the human life. But if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you can do it. You've come to here in this human form to be the healer. All right, here we go. As Phillip said, these reasons for illness in children that we have given also pertain to adults, but let us give you additional information that pertains more to adults than children. When an adult is ready to go to a new higher level of spirit, they must get additional rest for the brain to be rewired to receive the higher frequencies. Often, adults consider themselves too busy for the needed extra rest, so an illness or accident is needed to create the downtime. Or the adult may agree to be a human experiment to help further medical cures on Earth or their home planet. Or the adult may have sympathy or empathy for another being and express this in their own body. Or they may be a healer who must first prove to themselves they can heal their body before they can heal others. Or when a person takes on a disease or a life-taking illness, they do so for two main reasons. One, they may be ready to leave life. And that can be at any age, but that as we age, that we get into the 80s, 90s, and so forth, and that becomes more true, doesn't it? But again, that can be at any age. Or they feel Earth needs fewer people for Earth's survival. If we think of a pandemic, if we think of a horrific flood or earthquake, it may have people leave who feel the Earth is overpopulated and agree to give up their human life to save the Earth. That's what Phillip is saying in the second thing. Phillip goes on to say, we have given you the main reasons for illness and disease. Now, we leave you with this thought. As a soul, you chose your destiny. As a human, you choose how to experience your life. As a soul, you chose your destiny. As a human, you choose how to experience your life. Hello, Rush. She says, hi, Diana and everyone. Always so glad to see those of you who are able to make it live. And I appreciate your comments. You're holding that energy, so I'm a little less nervous about being live. I love standing in front of an audience. Just sitting here in front of myself in front of a camera, that's harder for me. All right, here we go. Wow. I heard left, but I also heard a pretty strong right. So if you heard left, now I'm hearing right. So I think maybe both messages are for us this week. So if you heard left or right, we're together intuitively. Again, I'm getting both of them. So I'm going to say both of them are our messages this week. So page 318, we are all only beginning to understand. That was left. We are all only beginning to understand. And then right, and I think this is what we need to hear in the world today, where peace lives, there can be no conflict. Where peace lives, there can be no conflict. So remember, we're all only beginning to understand. And where peace lives, there can be no conflict. Juliet says, very helpful answer. Well, thank you, Juliet. I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate that. I think even if we're sad about, for me, I still think of my animals that have passed on, or friends, or certainly my mother, my grandmother, family members. And I feel them so close. I feel them close. It's not the same. It is not the same as having that person right there. But I think it helps us to understand a little bit about spirit world and illness, accidents where you're hurt. Believe me, they're not easy to get through. I understand that. But I think it helps us a little bit to understand why we or someone we love has the disease or the illness, or why there are things like pandemics in the world. I hope what we've said today will ease your heart a bit and add love to you and to the world. We thank you for the love you send to us. We thank you for the love you receive to us. My friends, we must love our world, and that begins with loving ourselves. See you next week. Thank you. I love you.